So we're discussing what we can do to utilize social media to get more engagements. I'm going to let my guest introduce himself and tell you a little bit about his business. Terry?
Sure, I'm Terry Brock, and I'm a professional speaker, syndicated columnist, and marketing coach. I love helping people to use technology like social media, portable technology, and other tools, coupled with the time-honored principles that work so that they can improve their lives and make more money in business, which is a good thing. I think that's still legal out in California as well, right?
It is indeed, and we appreciate you sharing your information. I know that we could go on for hours and hours because you're such an expert in this. But let's focus on a couple of your top strategies that you think a lot of our colleagues may not use in terms of using social media to get more bookings.
I think social media is really important because that's where people live. That's where the world is today. I mean, if you and I, Rebecca, lived back in the year 1620 or 1310 or whatever, and we wanted to do business, the real key is you go where people are. Go where the people are hanging out. Well, today, people hang out in social media, so that's where we need to be. But it's a different medium than the way we did it before, with the broadcasting of radio, TV, or even newspapers and all that. Instead of just blasting a message out, and that's the term that some of these knuckleheads use, we're going to blast a message out there, you want to engage. Because remember, it's called social media. It's not called spam media or selling media. It's social. You get to know people as human beings. And so the most important thing with social media, I think, is to really provide value. Show people what's going on. For instance, if you're on LinkedIn, understand how they do business, how they play in LinkedIn. If you're going over to Twitter, it's a little bit different. So you want to do things a little bit differently over in Twitter. But if you're over in Facebook, it's different. So understand the medium and respect the protocols that are there. One of the things you want to do is, in business, provide a lot of value with good content, writing stories. And here's something really important, curating good material. So if I see something that's really good on SpeakerNet News that Rebecca Morgan or Ken Braley has put out there, and I go, wow, this is really good, sending that link out to others is a good way to be a good social media citizen, to make sure that you're helping people. So I think the most important thing, kind of from a high level point of view, is to make sure you're providing a lot of value and engaging with people. It's one of the things we talk about a lot. Matter of fact, shameless plug here, our social media book Gina Carr and I put together called Clout Matters, published by McGraw-Hill, and it talks about how to use clout and how to use social media effectively, and what you really want to do is engage with people. That's the most important.
Thank you, Terry. I have a question. So most of our colleagues think that by sending out their own content, their own tips, or their own quotes of themselves, then that's adding a lot of value, but a lot of people see that as just sales. And so how do you help people distinguish between what the reader would perceive as value and what they perceive as just smarmy, spammy stuff?
Yeah, I think that's a very important question, because you want to stay away from the smarmy, spammy stuff. I mean, you know, we all understand, hey, we've got to make money, we've got to get by here, we've got to live and pay the bills. But if you just are sending out your own stuff all the time, that is one strategy that might work for some, but I find a better strategy is to become a resource. You want to be the resource that people come to. That means you're a great source for, hey, here's a great article I read in the Wall Street Journal over here. Here's a great thing I read in the Huffington Post. Here's something I read over in Forbes magazine. You're showing them a variety of different links that are always good, showing them pictures of things that are happening in your life that people find interesting. If it's in LinkedIn, you want to lean much more toward the business side. If it's on Facebook, you definitely want to lean more toward the personal side. And so understand and respect the protocols of the medium where you are, as I mentioned before. That's going to be very important. And then always provide value. Find out what it is that people are hurting on, what's causing them pain right now, and then jump in there and help them with that. If you're doing that in social media, you're going to do a whole lot better all the way around.
So do you have a rule of thumb of the ratio of resource postings versus self-aggrandizing postings or self-promotional postings?
I don't have one per se. I know Chris Brogan talks about that. He's well known in social media and just a great guy, and talks about a 5 to 1. 5 of giving help, lots of information for every 1 selling kind of thing that you'll do. I don't know what the ratio should be, and I would suggest for everyone, experiment, but it's a whole lot more on the giving side. Getting people to know you, to like you, to trust you. They know who you are. They see that you are synonymous with giving good value in a particular area, whatever your area of expertise is. And then, yes, make it available in a very comfortable, appealing way that you can say, oh, and by the way, I've got a webinar coming up next Thursday on da-da-da-da, and let them see that. Or here's a new ebook that I recommend. We just have our new book came out, and go over to Amazon and you can click here and get it. Those kind of things. We understand that, but make it something that even when you're doing that, you're giving a lot of value.
Okay. And I want to go back to the protocol issue because, as you pointed out, LinkedIn is more business-focused, Facebook is more personal-focused, and so the traditional advice for people to learn the protocols is just hang out and see what other people post. But if you're hanging out with people who are only doing self-promotion, then you're going to think that that's the accepted protocol. So how do you suggest that people understand the different protocols for the medium and adhere to it without, because we don't want them irritating and losing followers?
Yeah, I think it goes beyond the people that you are hanging out with. Understand what they do on LinkedIn in general, what anyone who's on LinkedIn and doing well should do, and that is that you're engaging with people, you're providing value. It's not about, here's a picture of my cat, or here's a picture of my kids going swimming on LinkedIn. That is not for LinkedIn. But the protocol there is, we understand it's business. It's people connecting with people in a business sense, and we all understand that. But you'd think of it, I think the way that we look at it is, look at LinkedIn kind of like you've been able to get a membership at a very prestigious country club. You would go in there and you get to know people, you find out about them, you give value, you contribute value. You don't walk in the first day going, hi, I'm wonderful, here's my brochure, you want to do this, I'm here. Even though at the country club, everyone knows, hey, the reason we're here is business. But you've got to do it in the right protocol for the country club. Versus if you have, say, a network swapping event where everyone's swapping cards, well, we understand there that is business. Okay, giving your card out there, that's okay in that environment. Be sensitive to what is expected where you are. Within Facebook, it's a party at your home. So it's nice, it's pleasant, and it's much more about the social side. Twitter is more of a concise, 140 character, send out a message very quickly and give information. Using links is one of the best ways to do that, to say, here's something on this. But make it known so that, that you are giving a lot of information and be a resource. Really giving, much like Rebecca, you have done. And those of you watching this, get to know what she has done. She has done so much. Just one area in particular that I've seen is the SpeakerNet News, which gives a lot of good information on a regular basis. Every Friday, there's something there, always with some nuggets and some gems in there. And what Rebecca Morgan has been doing is really how you succeed in social media. Stay with the medium, do it in the right way, and be sensitive. And don't push. We don't like that in the real world, and online even more so. We don't like somebody who's pushing and only talking about themselves.
All right, perfect. And one last question, and then I'll see if you have other things you want to add. Many of us use a tool like a Hootsuite to auto-populate all the different social media, but as I'm hearing you now, I'm realizing that that may not be a good strategy because each medium needs a little different something. So do you have a way to make this easy for people to populate their different social media streams?
Yeah, I would say using the Hootsuite is, first of all, an excellent choice. It's a great tool. I use that and Buffer app, but be sensitive to where you're sending it. For instance, if you're sending it out on LinkedIn, you've got a little more text than you do with Twitter. So you can put a little bit more information in there, but sending out something like, here's a great column that talks about this and this. Oh, that's nice. It might be yours, it might be someone else's, but make sure it's really good quality. If you're sending on Facebook, then in Facebook you can do that, but you're also not going to get as high a rating. Your clout score will not be affected as positively if you send it out through Hootsuite than if you go over and send it out natively on Facebook. It's just the way they've rigged the algorithms on that. And so what you want to do is use something like Hootsuite, but don't just send one message out to everybody the same way. That's too much like that nasty word blasting. And you don't want to blast a message at people. Instead, you want to entice them to click and to get more involved with you as a real person. Be the resource. That's a real key. I remember Tom Stanley talking about that. Dr. Stanley is how I'll always know him. He was the best prof I had when I went to Georgia State, and he went on later and wrote several books on the millionaire next door and Millionaire Mind and things like that. One of the things he talks about in his books, and he told us, is be the resource that people come to. Be the person that they say, wow, I want to find out what she's saying. She's really good. And they lean in. Notice how I'm leaning in, Rebecca, do you see that? So you lean in to make sure that people realize, hey, this person's got some good stuff to say, and we want to follow what she says, what he says, etc. And I think that's the real key. Use those tools like Buffer App, Hootsuite, because they can help you enormously, but tailor the message accordingly. And then, here's the most important. When they respond, make sure you respond as a human being. Don't just send something out and then leave the world. You want to be there, and when someone says, hey, I like that, thank you, or they retweet it, drop back with a, thank you very much, Mary, I appreciate you doing that. Or just, if there's not as much space, even a TU for thank you is appropriate. Some way to acknowledge them, to say, yes, thank you for being there. We're human beings, and we're all trying to get by on planet Earth here and try to make life a little bit better for everyone.
Well, and you certainly do that, and have for the decades that I've known you. You're constantly looking at how you can help people be more productive at work and create better relationships. I love that. So, well, Terry, any last thing before we close out?
Yeah, and of course we could go forever and ever. I would encourage people to bounce over to terrybrock.com and check out my blog, because I get to share things, because I really am excited about what we can do today. Think about it. Rebecca, we are alive today at a perfect time. Never before in history have we had the ability to do like what you and I are doing right now. We're using Google Plus Hangout. We are broadcasting this to the world. Anyone that wants to get on YouTube can see it. Think about that. We're getting broadcast capability that was impossible for the average person. You had to have literally millions of dollars to do this kind of thing. Now we can do it in audio, in video. We can type text for magazines, newspapers, all of that, and it's instant, and also we can get feedback on it immediately. So I would say for those that are watching, particularly those that are thought leaders, if you're a speaker, a writer, a coach, look into these tools. See what is available. I tend to like Google Plus Hangouts. I think it's good. I love Skype also, and worked with Skype before. They hired me as their chief enterprise blogger and did that and loved it. It's a great tool, but I really like using this technology to help people. Think of ways you can do that and get involved with it, and I hope to see you somewhere a little later on down the road.
Wonderful, and I will reiterate that terrybrock.com is full of so much information that if you have any questions on how to use your technology, then go there, and Terry's probably got something there for you. So, Terry, thank you for contributing.
Thank you very much, Rebecca. Great to see you.
Over and out.